So, Greg, you've had the Switch for a little bit over a month now.
Yeah.
How's it been? How's it been?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Obviously, it's not the graphical powerhouse that the other two are, but overall, it's weird because I don't really think about the graphics when I'm playing it, and I still find myself blown away by the graphics.
Well,
And
that fast was it fast?
Fast RMX.
That game looks so
Oh,
good.
it does. And that's not even the fullest extent of it. There's a lot of stuff. It's weird. I think it's the whole fact that it's a portable system essentially, and it's giving me visuals that best the previous generation. Like
Of portables.
no previous generation of home consoles. Like a lot of these games, in ways at least, look better than what was being made on 360 and PS3. If that proves to be a thing going forward, we'll see. Because I have no doubt that it can do things like Uncharted and stuff, but will it? We'll have to see if anybody takes that plunge. What I will say is, on that note, the game marketplace for the Switch is so different than the other systems. And it's refreshing, but it's making me rethink the way I buy games a lot.
How so?
So, and we discussed this when we first talked about the Switch post-launch, but it's really hit me hard because I have to decide when a new game's coming out. Do I want it to be a game that I can play anywhere, or do I want to play it with better graphics and stuff only from home? And it seems like a simple thing. Just decide one or the other, and there you go. But it's really not that simple because take Ukulele for example. At the time of this recording, it's coming out tomorrow, I think. And it's hitting all the other systems first. Xbox One had some problems, but it's been patched already. They already have a patch going through, so it's going to be
Yay,
fine.
day one patch.
Yep. But the thing is, the game is coming to Switch as soon as possible, according to the developer. They're working with Nintendo, they said, to get it on the system as soon as possible. Well, that's awesome because the game is basically a throwback to like Banjo-Kazooie and that kind of rare style of game. And that is really exciting to me, and I've planned to get this game for a long time. However, now I'm faced with this little conundrum where, like, do I want it on the Switch so I can play it anywhere I go? Or do I want it, like, on my PC where I can run it at, like, 4K as soon as I want, basically? Because it does support 4K. And apparently it's runs really well in 4K even. I don't know. It's a very difficult question to decide on. Especially when the differences so far between multi-platform games, they're proving good in the Switch's favor.
I did see Lego City, was it Underground?
Undercover.
Underground. Okay.
Yeah.
That versus I think it was just the standard PS4. I don't know that they pit it up against the Pro, but
Well,
there wasn't too much of a difference there.
But
Granted, it is a Lego game, but still.
do you realize though that game was a launch title for the Wii U?
That game was?
That exact game?
That's not a sequel?
No, it was exclusive to the Wii U until now.
Holy shit.
That's one game I will not buy on the Switch because I got it on Wii U for $20, $60 on all the systems right now. It's like no, there's no way it's gonna be good enough.
I guess that comparison didn't really matter then.
No, when it's a 2012 game compared to, it's just not a good comparison. Good comparison to watch though. If you go over to Digital Foundry, which we seem to talk about a lot, they should probably give us a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But They did a nice look at the game Snake Pass from Sumo Digital, the guys that did the Sonic racing games, which are also excellent. They made Snake Pass using the Unreal Engine 4, and they made it for not only the Switch, but they also made it for the Xbox One and PS4, all on Unreal Engine 4. And when you look at that, on that kind of an engine, it really, really, really performs favorably on the Switch. Now, obviously, it looks a little better on the other systems, especially PS4. Has slightly better shadows and stuff, which they actually fixed. They actually changed it. Interesting thing, they patched the game on Switch after launch, and the shadows got closer, like to be at a closer point of parity between that version of the PS4. Like,
that's impressive.
That's really impressive, and it runs smoother than it did before. It's like those guys are masters, and it's proving that the Switch is a lot more capable than a lot of people are going to give it credit for. And that's where the conundrum comes, because like Snake Pass, I looked at the game. I knew that the guys that did the Donkey Kong Country soundtracks were doing the music for this, and I knew Sumo Digital was awesome with the Sonic racing games. The game looked charming as hell. It's like, I'm getting this game. And when I saw that it was kind of set up like a level-by-level puzzle kind of platformer, it's like, well, this is a no-brainer to have as a portable game. Because I can play it for a couple minutes and stop, and I still accomplish stuff. Whereas, like, ukulele, I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. I still haven't decided which I'm going to get it for. Maybe both. I hate to do that, but... yeah, so it's creating a problem there. Which is a good problem to have, admittedly. It's not like, oh man, I have to decide. You know, it's pretty cool that I have that decision about getting it on there versus the others. Now, aside from that little thing, there's something else I wanted to talk about in the same vein. And that's the retail selection of games versus the digital selection. Have you looked at the retail selection at your local GameStop, Walmart, whatever?
I'm in the game aisle quite frequently. It's interesting. I've seen it be filled up and then bare and then filled up and then bare. It's almost like in this area, I'm surprised that there'd be so many people that already have a Switch. I still have yet to see the actual hardware in stock.
That's surprising to me.
Well, you've seen it in stock?
Briefly?
Yeah, briefly. Now, see, that's the thing, is it probably comes in and poof, it's gone.
Well, scalpers, I will say, and this is off topic, but scalpers are not making a profit on Switch, so suck it.
I know they were in the beginning, but...
They certainly aren't now.
So anyway, I don't know what games there are exactly, because I don't own one, so therefore I'm not really paying attention.
Well, let me name the ones that you've seen, because I can. There's that few. You've seen Zelda, probably. You've probably seen 1-2 Switch. You've probably seen Just Dance. You've probably seen Bomberman, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe The Binding of Isaac, maybe. And
I've seen that.
And there's the new Puyo Puyo Tetris, I believe, just came out. I haven't personally seen that anywhere yet, but that's not very many games, right? And the thing has been out for a month and a half or so now. And you would think, man, oh man, that's like a handful of games. This thing needs a lot more games. But it doesn't. It actually has a lot of games already. And they're on the eShop. And they're not just some random ports or nothing. They're genuinely good games. Granted, some of them are ports, but good ones. And this is where another thing that I'm finding kind of interesting, because when it comes to game consoles, I like physical media. Obviously, on PC, I'm not going to buy physical PC games. That's just retarded. But
they don't really sell it anymore anyway.
No, and I don't even have an optical drive in my computer anymore, like purposely. So it's like when it comes to consoles, I do want the type of game I can preserve forever, where I can always pop it in and play it. Except on the Switch, a lot of the best games are not available in physical form at all.
That's too bad.
Well, yes and no, because I think that if they couldn't be released digitally at all, we probably wouldn't have them at all, which is bad for the Switch and anybody who buys one, and having that route for developers to take just to test the waters at least is good, because that means we have games like Fast RMX, like you mentioned, which technically it's a Wii U port, but it's an enhanced Wii U port with some additional content and stuff, and it runs far, far better on the Switch than it did on the Wii U, and that was even good on the Wii U.
Well, hell, the footage you sent me looks fantastic.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Like, you put that next to, like, I'm really anxious to see how that stacks up to the new Wipeout game coming out for PS4, because I have a feeling that Fast RMX could be, like, ahead of it. We'll see, unless they really take advantage of the PS4, but Fast RMX is a damn good looking game.
Well, hell, I think Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U is really good looking.
It is.
That was surprising.
That developer really knows how to use what they got, and their affinity towards Nintendo is just
honestly
shocking.
I think Nintendo should just buy out the studio.
Yeah, turn all these into F-Zero games.
That honestly they should,
They
or
should.
at least hire that studio to make an F-Zero game. To me, that would be smart.
Every time I play it, like, it's rare for me to play one of those futuristic, speed-heavy games and think, like, man, this is every bit as good as F-Zero. Because F-Zero is very, very fine-tuned. It's like, that's the only way to put it. It's very, very fine-tuned, very fast. Whereas even, like, Wipeout, for me, is not very fine-tuned. It's floaty. It's fine-tuned, but it's floaty.
It's kind of mushy.
Yeah.
And I have it on the Vita, and it's
hard as fuck because it's floaty.
Yeah,
it floats all over. And I have it on PS3.
Probably the same one I have.
Probably the same game.
I think they released it on both platforms.
Yeah, it came with DLC as Wipeout Fury or something. There's Wipeout Fury and then the original whatever. But anyway, yeah, this game, Fast RMX, absolutely captures that feeling of, like, this is a legit F-Zero game, even though it doesn't say it anywhere in the title. But it's only on the eShop. Now, it's cool because it's only like $15, $20, whatever it costs. Not a lot of money. It's a stellar game. And that's not in stores, which is a shame because that is a game that deserves to be on store shelves.
I thought for sure that was going to have a physical release.
Well, you know what is a similar game called Redout. And I played the demo of Redout on Steam. And it certainly looks nice, but it's, I don't know, it felt more floaty. It's more Wipeout than F-Zero to me. That said, I'll take it. If they're going to release it physically, that's cool. And then there's games like I mentioned, Snake Pass. That game is freaking awesome. It's so original. I've never played as a snake in a game before. Not a snake that acts like a snake. It looks damn good. You can tell it's the Unreal Engine 4, and it's put to good use. The music is every bit as charming as that of the Donkey Kong Country games or Banjo-Kazooie games. I mean, that's one of my absolute most driving factors with that. Buying that game was the music. And then when I saw Sumo Digital made it, it's like, well, I gotta get this. And that's an excellent game too. Also not available in retail, just on the eShop.
That's crazy.
Now I don't know if that game is getting a physical release on the other systems though either. It might only be digital. Period. I'm not sure. But then there's others that are like exclusive, such as Blaster Master Zero. And did you play Blaster Master back in the day at all?
I did, definitely.
Yeah, well, I guess to our younger viewers that may not have played it, the best way to describe it is like, it's kind of a Metroid style game. You explore, shoot stuff, but you also have a vehicle, and it's basically your mode of transportation for platforming. It's a vehicle that jumps.
Well, if I remember correctly from the original, and granted, this is dating it back all the way to the 80s, you were this little tiny dude, and you'd go inside your truck that could, like, couldn't it, like, change shape or something? I can't remember exactly.
You can shoot.
And then, could it go in the water and stuff? I'm trying to remember. Yep. So, yeah, you basically would use that to get around, and then for areas you couldn't take it, you would hop out. And I remember that he was real small compared to the vehicle.
Yeah, then you'd go into like a cave, and it's all of a sudden like this overhead view where you're walking around, you're a lot bigger, and you're just shooting bad guys, finding items and stuff like that. And things open up in a Metroid style kind of way, where you need like this to get here, and like this key to get into this place and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It's a great game, and Blaster Master Zero is essentially a remake of the first one, but it's done in the style of the first one. So it doesn't have fancy modern graphics. It's like very much the 8-bit style, maybe 16-bit style. But it also takes elements from both the Japanese and North American versions of the game and merges them in together in a mostly cohesive way. And that includes like story, because the story was slightly different between the two versions in the past. So now they've kind of merged it so that elements from both are present. It is the first game, but it's a really nice repackaging of it. Also only available on eShop. Then there's things like Nintendo's own snipper clips, which I don't have yet, but it does look like a really good time for co-op. Maybe I'll talk about that later after I actually get it. But it's just interesting to me. There's so many other games there that aren't in the store, and I work with electronics and that, and I never see Switch games. And it's so weird being an owner and knowing that there's all these awesome games on the system already, and then talking to consumers that see what's on the shelf and kind of assume that's it. It's a very weird thing. Very weird. Even though Zelda is absolutely the best reason to have the system right now, there's so many other things that you can do with it. Also, don't want to discount the fact that there's a bunch of Neo Geo games on it for some reason. SNK is like, hey, here's some Neo Geo games and have fun. And so I got like Metal Slug 3 and King of Fighters 98. And it's like, yeah, they're straight up arcade ports, but they're awesome, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't pass up any Metal Slug game. I mean, even if I already have it.
Yeah, and that one I wanted specifically for portable reasons. Because Metal Slug games are easy just to pick up, play for 10 minutes, and be done. And you actually have a lot of fun, so...
Yeah, chances are you die a few times during that 10 minutes.
The nice thing about these ports, too, is that they're not based on like previous console editions of the game. They're actually the arcade, so you just hit a button to like insert coin. So like it's infinite continues basically, and lives therefore. So it's nice to have. But yeah, I just wanted to mention this because it's very weird to me, and I don't feel like I see anybody talk about this fact. There's such a large disparity between eShop and physical retail games. It's kind of mind-boggling, and I'm finding that a lot of developers are announcing games for the Switch, and they end up being digital only.
So that built-in, 32 gigs? What do you get actually, like
24.
24 gigs, okay. That is going to fill up fast. Definitely.
Well, I have to double check, but I have 8 games, I think, and they're all different sizes, of course. But I still have 11 gigs free. So, and I like Zelda and Bomberman and stuff. They're all on game card. They're physical, not downloaded, so that helps. If you downloaded everything, yeah, 32 or 24 gigs is gonna fill up really quick. But it's actually kind of astonishing. I guess I should touch on that for a second. You can fit a lot of games in that small space that's available. Like I said, I have like 8 games, and let's see, 3 of them are physical, and the other 5 are download. So, those Neo Geo games probably aren't very big, couple hundred megs maybe, but Snake Pass was only like, I want to say 3 gigs. And that's probably the biggest one I got. Other than that, so
What's the Fast RMX?
Fast RMX is only like barely a gig.
Holy crap!
How the hell they did that, I don't know, but it's not very big. So
That's pretty amazing.
it is amazing, but and what like when you think about that, it's like, why would they put such a small game onto a game card? But I guess with the Switch, they can pick and choose how big their cards are going to be. It does kind of raise a concern though when all these developers are like, yeah, it's coming to Switch, but it's going to be digital only. Like, is that because the price of the game cards is too high? Because if that's true, that kind of sucks especially for collectors and stuff, because you have to wait for like limited runner or somebody else to port it for you into physical form.
Or it doesn't suck for the collector because the physical library is so small. you can, hey, I got the whole set.
Yeah, all 6 of them. But if you want something like Fast RMX, well, that sucks.
I think that, obviously my preference would be physical, but if you think about it kind of like the iPad, Apple, they got a ton of games on the App Store, and obviously none of them are physical, and they sell a boatload of them. So the Switch, in a way, since technically, yeah, it's a tablet, it could almost be the same idea.
I was actually going to touch on that because of all the companies, like Microsoft, for example, that have tried to force feed the digital model, I'm kind of wondering if Nintendo is the one that's going to actually do it, because
well, they have the option in some cases.
It's like they don't have to force it even, because the fact that the cards may or may not cost a little bit more than some of these small developers can afford means that those games are going to be digital only. And the fact that you can put gigantic SD card in the system if you want means that it's literally like a tablet. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but so far I'm kind of liking it, and part of me wishes that I only had digital versions, because when I have to travel, it means I have to grab all those game cards out of their cases too. Or take the cases with me, but that's just more crap to carry around.
You got a point there. I do that with the Vita, and I have a case, and I can put the games in there.
Yeah.
But I can only fit so many, and sometimes I like to bring my whole library.
Yeah.
But you can fit all the game cards, in the case. They'll be loose. So
right. Same deal with the Switch. I have a case for it too, and it has X amount of spots to strap in the game cards, but beyond that, I don't know.
And they're small. You could lose those.
They're about the size of the Vita cards. They're
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty damn small.
Small for
If you
sure.
put if you keep them in your pocket and you had a hole in your pocket and you'd
Yeah.
lose it and not even know because they weigh nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's a bunch of random thoughts on Switch, but I kind of needed to get that out there, and I I don't know. It's a lot of stuff to think about. Might help you this holiday when you're trying to decide which system you need to have.
It's a ways away.
It
Maybe I'll get
is.
one before that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, if they're in store, we'll see.